This is Nasser, who's going to give his presentation that started way back in October as a competition. And he decided to take this project further into a research project, and it's education in North Park. Nasser, if you're ready, you may share the screen.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Nasser Al-Ajmi, and today I will be presenting my thesis. For many decades, the monotonous, tedious, captive education system is leaving students with a fixed mindset in a progressive world. Sir Kent Robinson is an international advisor on education, stated that intelligence is dynamic. The education system and architecture needs to restructure its methods and programs to the human's natural way of learning. In school, we learn and then get tested, but in life, we get tested and then learn. The proposed project is the Intradynamic Elementary School, which is the place where students' minds and bodies are unleashed to grow creatively. The project is located in North Park, San Diego. It is an attraction for locals, visitors, and the community at large. The Intradynamic Elementary School is not only for North Park, but also for the education's future. Next, I will be talking about the site selection and why I chose North Park as the location for my site. At first, I was looking for a site that have the problems, the monotonous, the tedious, and the captive. I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, searching for the site. And then when I saw the site, I saw these characteristics in the houses, because they look monotonous and they are tedious and captive, the way they are gridded and the way they are laid out. But unfortunately, I did not have it sold out very well, because having the monotonous education system into a monotonous site will not solve the problem. What's going to solve the problem is looking for a site, a dynamic site, which is North Park. In North Park, it's one of the largest communities defined by the city of San Diego. Also, it has history, culturally diverse, and also it's one of the best walkable zip codes in San Diego. Los Angeles Times stated that North Park has all the ingredients of a cool school. So having this dynamic location will force the design to break the monotony and change. And here are some photos that shows what North Park is. So there's some art going on, and San Diego Zoo is very close. Some boutique shops. Also the farmers market every weekend. And this is a coffee shop. So going to North Park and absorbing the site closely, I found 4 major problems. The first problem is the lifeless location, meaning this street is University Street. It's very active, opposite to the site. The second is the unsafe drop-off and pickup due to the vehicle circulation. Third, the separation the site it's causing. It is not pedestrian friendly due to the separation it's causing. Fourth, the harsh fences it's causing for the students, making them feel captive. Also, it's not aesthetically pleasing for the neighbors. Next is the education problems. So I found that the education problems are 4. It is insensitive, meaning a standard design for the whole schools. It is captive, meaning the harsh fences, the student will feel captive. Also, the tedious. It is tedious because of the repetition. And fourth, the monotony of the architecture and the programs. And I would like to mention that the site that I chose is Jefferson Elementary School. Oh. So, to solve the problem, I listed the words, the problem words of the education problems and the site problems. After listing the problems, I searched for an opposite word that can solve the list of the both problems, which is interactive and dynamic. Altogether, created the word intradynamic. After that, I want to find a concept that can help me design and find a solution. So I went to North Park and did a watercolor sketch inspired by the word intradynamic, also the student's growth mindset, and the North Park character. After seeing the sketch, it inspired me to go deeper and find the brain cell, which is my concept. The brain cell is dynamic, insensitive, interactive, sensitive, growing, and free. After seeing the characteristics of the brain cell and have it all in consideration, I did some initial models and sketches, also inspired by the brain cell. Then I dug deeper into the site and did a SWOT analysis. And SWOT analysis means that strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And for example, number one location here is the unsafe narrow location, which is a back of a restaurant. And for maybe number two, a missing opportunity of the active University Street, which is here. And number 8, for example, is the loud sound caused by the playground here in the school. And having all of this into consideration gave me an idea how to design. After having the SWOT analysis, we went to the program and did a bubble diagram that can solve the problems not only in the education system, but also outside of school. Having that into consideration of the brain cell form and function, floor plans were generated. Okay, and then we go next to the massing. So the first massing was a mass that covers the whole site. Then to solve the problem of the pedestrian, unfriendly pedestrian site, we did a cut to connect it, to connect people walking. Also a visual connectivity when cars drive or people walk. Third, we did some outside voids to create a dynamic and also a sensitive kind of design, following the organic form of the brain cell. And then we did a void inside of the architecture to allow sunlight and ventilation. Fifth, we push the front yard of the architecture to the front yard of the neighbor, allowing for more landscape. Six, we did a underground parking, also a circulation. The circulation on the top is for the school, solving the problem for the unsafe drop-off and pickup. Also, the underground parking, which is have double the parking of the neighbors. So solving the problem of the parking, also people walking, allowing them to walk, and then adding some parking for the neighbors. 6, we add some landscapes, allowing people to walk, also a welcoming site, and also replacing the harsh fences, making it aesthetically pleasing for neighbors. Next, we go to the master plan, which is after designing it, we have this master plan. When cars come from here I want them to see something that relates to North Park, which is a design that I did for the public, so they can walk and see it. And also it's an attraction for locals, visitors, and the community at large. And it's located here. And when people walk from here, they can see this. So this is the school, both of them, this and this building and this building, and this is the visual connectivity that I'm talking about, and some fountains, so people can interact and having a safe walkable area. Here, when people drive from here or walk, they can see this design, this design. So like I said before, this is an underground parking. People can come from here and park underneath, and this is the design. Also, this a welcoming space for people to walk. And here is the playground. And I intentionally put the fountain here so it can isolate the sound. Also a green buffer replacing the harsh fences. Here, showing the experience of people walking. So this is a walking path for next to the school. And lastly, this is the other side of the building and how it looks. Next, we go in depth into the program and see how can we make the student have a growing mindset. The Intradynamic program is a program not governed by grades or time blocks. It is created to embrace mistakes and experience usage, allowing for a growth mindset. So this is the master, this is the plan, where it's located. This is the interactive place. This is the green space, and this is the experiment space. For the green space, the goal of it is to have students learn about native plants, also harvest and grow plants, and most importantly, water saving strategies. And this is how it looks inside. So the teacher is teaching children how to deal with plants. So this is the goal of it. Second, we go to the experiment space, where students can feed their curiosity, also dependent learning, stimulating self-learning and in an early age. So model making, designing, physics, chemistry, comparable to their age. And here, I would like to show how it looks like inside, where the teacher here standing, talking to the children, allowing them to experiment. And here's the roof where they have all their tools, they can use it, and have their tables to work on. And last program, but not least, it's the interactive space. The interactive space, children must solve a problem collaboratively. This will help them. The goal of it is creative thinking, team working and leadership, facing challenging decision making, and imagination stimulation. So this is how it looks inside, where they have all access to books, tablets, and also a comfortable area. And I intentionally did the table circle so they can have this conversation and solve the problem. And lastly, I would like to talk about how the circulation inspired me to follow the brain cell. So the brain cell has these roots. These roots accumulate information and go through a channel and then distribute it to another brain cell. And this is what I'm doing here. I have these information collected here, and they can go underground while the pedestrian can go on the ground floor here, but the students have a safe path to go to their typical classroom where they can have their knowledge and experience documented academically here, so they can know both areas of learning. And then here they can play and then be themselves. So I learned, finally, I would like to thank you all for coming here to my presentation. It means a lot. And in 5th year, I learned a lot. And most importantly, I learned that rules expire. What worked in the past may not work now. And also there is a quote that I like from John Gardner. He said, 20 years from now, we will look at education as it's practiced in school and say how we used to be so primitive. And after graduation, I will be thinking how to change the rules to favor the people and their well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasser. Let's get right into the questions. We have a question from Sina. And for other jurors, if you have any questions, please go ahead and raise your hand. Thank you.
Nasser, I think you developed your thesis a lot more since I seen it last quarter. I think last quarter we talked about getting more into the program, and I think you really did a good job in that.
Thank you.
You showed a lot of progress there. So I have a question, but or a comment, but my question would probably solve my comment. So if you can go back to probably a site plan or massing plan, master plan, whichever that shows so the passage. Yeah. So the passage that you made between that connects the right side and the left side of the whole site. Yeah. Is that so the students don't go in there, the public just pass there, and the students are fenced in the two sides, and they go underground to connect to each side?
Yes, and I would like to show it here. So the students have their own program here, but they don't go underground and then continue here, because I want this connective passage for the community.
Okay. And then what about the park or the garden on the very bottom of your site plan?
Okay. Let me show it.
Is that one? Yeah, that spot, is that fenced in for the students, right? Public doesn't have access to that?
Yes. They have a green buffer that protects them. Yes. And also this fountain that will separate the acoustics from the neighbors.
Okay, that's great. That's I want to give you a compliment for considering the neighbors as well as the thesis you're putting into their neighborhood. So that's really good. Not to only focus on your function and your program and also give value to whoever's around it. That's great. I would suggest putting some kind of wrought iron or chain link or whatever fence in that green buffer you have, because that's probably not going to keep whatever they want to keep out and whatever they want to keep in. You can hide it so it doesn't look bad, but definitely put something there to be more secure. But yeah, good job, good progress from last quarter.
Thank you. Let's go to David, and then after David, Alicia has a question.
Nasser, good job.
Thank you.
Great presentation. I want to start off with great graphics. I think your graphics are on point. The diagrams are very well put together, and I think you're able to communicate what you were intending on doing and sort of storytelling. So I think those were great. Do you know if Jefferson Elementary, if that's is that a charter school, or is that or is it a public school?
I believe it's a public school.
So it falls under San Diego Unified, I would assume, right?
I believe so.
The reason why I ask is at the firm, our bread and butter is pretty much schools. We do a lot of schools and institutions. And a while back, we had a design for for one of the schools. We could save them a lot of money, but it was different than what they usually get. And they came back to us telling us that they wanted the design to change so it looked like all the other schools, because they were afraid that the community would think that they spent too much money, even though it was a lot cheaper, right, than the typical. And I say that because I'm glad you're pushing the boundaries with what you're doing here. I think the moves, it doesn't look like an elementary school, right? And you know, some could argue that it's not for a child or there's no color, right? But as you stated, right, you're trying to push the boundaries and sort of test the different ideas that are out there. So I do commend you for that. But my question is really, how were you able to, aside from just putting North Park on there, how did you connect the community? San Diego is made up of a whole bunch of, I mean, I think I saw character and diversity on your first slide. And I mean, San Diego is just made up of a whole bunch of different communities. And so how did you bring in the character of North Park into your design without people saying, well, it looks like a spaceship just landed here, and it doesn't connect with the many years, right, of people living there?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for the compliment. Also, that's a great question. Well, it depends on research that the more the community diverse, the more they will accept new ideas. And the idea is to bring a statement to show the people there are something new, not a typical school. So it's basically I'm creating a statement so people then they know there is something new. Also, the concept is breaking the rules and breaking the monotony. And not only that, but the school is interacting with the community. And this is the goal of it. The typical school, it's isolating itself from the community, but this school is blending itself, adapting itself to the community, because I believe the school is for the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alicia, you had a question?
Yeah, it kind of echoes what David had just mentioned, but well, first I want to start off by saying the same things. I really like how clean your presentation was. The graphics are very beautiful. I like the confidence in your voice. So really good job there. But my main question was, like, I'm looking at your master plan right now, and you have two huge buildings. And I guess what I'm curious is, like, how are you dealing with the scale of all the other buildings around you? North Park, people love North Park because of all of like the small scale buildings around them. They walk from their coffee shop to a restaurant to a bookstore, and it kind of just goes on like that. So I'm curious, how are you blending with that? So it's almost the same thing as what David said before.
Well, that's a great question too. But the existing site, if you look at it, and I will take you to it, has these problems. It's not blending, and it's not sensitive. Also, it's captive. So I'm solving the problem by blending it to the people. And this is the intention of the design, is to blend it with people and have it have the character of North Park.
But would you argue that North Park's character has a smaller scale than what you're representing?
Exactly, that's a good question also, but it's an institution. It's an institution, and it has to make a statement. If I make it small, there is no statement.
I mean, I kind of agree with what Alicia is saying. I think there's like some part of me that also sees that this building is just colossal in comparison to all other buildings around its site. I think it like there's so many different nodes and kind of collection points that you've brought up in your lecture that could be theoretic, like, you know, that the project wasn't designed this way, but it could be hypothetically designed to be broken off into all these different little spaces and sections that are more like, you know, separate but part of the same site, or, you know, exterior. I don't know how, just some sort of explosion of this building would be nice, because the form is just so singular, almost, or just two big forms, with this beautiful road going right between it. Or not road, I mean so much as a path. My bad.
This location.
Yeah, I love the curvature. It's gorgeous. It's jarring.
Well, I agree, but I want to make a statement. Not only that, but I want it to be an attraction for locals, visitors, and the community to see it and to be there.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
if I can add to this, I was probably the harshest critic of him designing this the way it is in North Park. One, I live 4 blocks down from here. And 2, this is even worse. I designed the school that's on that site right now.
Oh no!
So the entire year he's telling me how awful it is. So and I wanted him to stick to his guns. So here he is presenting this, and it was more about changing education. So
it must have felt like cheap shots at you. Jeez, I'm
don't
so
worry.
sorry.
I still hold his grade. So
Is he
actually,
gonna
you look like you have a question.
Hold it.
Oh yeah, I do. Hi, it's really a great job. It's really more of just a comment, and I think, you know, it's kind of tying in. Everyone's kind of nervous about the scale, but I really think that your concept and the way that you sold it is extremely convincing, and that you focused on solving everything with a problem. Every problem had a solution, and it's extremely clear in the design. And now really the debate, you know, is ending with scale and, you know, if this feels like something North Park would want. But I think that you're sticking to your guns of wanting to make a statement is the best way to go about that. So I think that's really strong. And I think we just kind of have to assume that it's kind of similar to all of these projects. We kind of have to assume that because if this was somewhere else and not North Park, we probably wouldn't all be freaking out as much. But we just, because this is a thesis and hypothetical, we just kind of have to assume that a committee got together and they said they wanted to, you know, modernize North Park and bring in something different and bring in a campus. So I think, you know, we just kind of have to, I don't want to say move past it, but almost think like, if North Park came to him or came to us and said, we want a campus here, we want to do something different, what would it look like? And I think this solves all of the problems that already exist and solves it with something different if they had wanted it. So I really don't have any questions.
And great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So I think it's a great presentation and great a great argument. And then my last compliment would be seeing your actual concept brought through with the brain cell into a floor plan, and ending on that last slide was really strong. That's very difficult to bring in, you know, this form that people want to, you know, say, I saw this flower or I saw this thing and I want to turn it into a building. So I think it reads really well when you are referring to the concept of information and the way that it moves through the space and applying that to education. So kudos to that. And then I guess the only critique would be if you had more time to tie it more to the community, would be, you know, what would it look like if, you know, things started puncturing through that bottom level, and what would the program be on the street side? But that's a totally different topic and going further. So overall, great job and congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
David, it looks like you still have your hand up. I don't know if you want to finish up with the last comment or question. No? All right. Nasser, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.